Welcome again to Steve's Long Stay Workshop, and today on this rather cold winter's evening, 1st of January 2021, and I hope 2021 February one is a lot better than 2020, I thought we'd go German. I got some German sets coming up, and a Polish one actually. We're done Russian, this is German. I've got 2 or 3 of them coming up, but this one was this one looks to be in a bit of a mess, so I thought, well, you know, this is what we want to start on, because of course after that the rest of them should be easy. This is a Loewe Opta magnet. I don't know what went there. These sets, like all German sets in this era, are very, very over-engineered, but that's not the problem, because they're over-engineered and they work extremely well too. So you know, don't let that put you off. Now, first thing we do with these, of course, or the first thing I do with them, is switch them on and see what happens, because I like to know where I'm starting from. So let's start and find out where we're starting from. The dial lights up okay, and that's one thing in our favour. That means therefore most German sets, by the way, are transformer driven, of course, and using E-series valves. That's one thing. It's come up okay. It's come up anyway. There's some of that. Not a lot on VHF, it must be said. Some of these sets, by the way, are have separate things for VHF. So I think it is VHF. UW, yeah, that's VHF, yeah. So we go at this end. We got now. So we know therefore that these switches need to be attended to, as you can hear.
Of the match. I don't know is the question. The casters have a little bit of greenish going on, I think.
And on these, by the way, the on-off switch is coupled with the wave change on many of these sets. So that's something else to look out for. There's no on-off for him. It's all on the on-off switch. Treble and bass, these are very, very good radios when they work. This one, after all this time, is still trying to work. So let's try and make it work rather better, shall we? Because that's what we're here to do in the channel. This one, by the way, came from Stoke-on-Trent. The person that I bought it off on the marketplace said that it stopped working about the time when digital radio came in. Therefore, she said it didn't work. So we need to find out why that is, because of course we know that digital radio is not taken over completely from analog. No, in my opinion, will it? So those of you, those people like me who still use the older sets, they can still continue to do so for a long time yet. Looking inside it, very dusty. That's a good thing actually. So if we I need to stand off that end, by the way. Looking inside it, which I do by turning it around on the bench here, we have a metal rectifier. That may be okay, maybe not. That, I don't know what that is yet. That's EABC80. The EABC80 usually has in it one diode for AM, two for FM, and the first audio stage in that valve. That one, the IF valve, is an EF89. You can put an EF18, or you can put different ones in there. Valves, by the way, in this are all telefunken. I'll just turn it around so you can see. Hang on. I'll just turn it around so you can see. So difficult with one arm, but you know, needs must when the devil drives. And the devil does drive around here quite a lot. There you are. Can that be seen okay? Yeah, it can. Okay. So that is looks like I don't know what that is actually. I think it's likely to be an EL84. I'll check on that. There's probably in most cases there's a chart somewhere with the valves on. But this one does seem to be rather loose in its socket. EABC8 is that one there, like I said. IF valve, EF89, EC881. That is act as an extra stage of amplification on VHF, and a mixer oscillator stage on AM. That up there, that's the that's the VHF valve, usually ECC85, and that, of course, which is probably dead, it always is the EM probably 80. So that's what we've got to go with in that way. So listen, the first thing we do, give all the valves a twiddle. Surprising with the effect that has. We're on 220 volts. Now that's a bit low, but German touring sets were. So quite often these sets were a bit overrun. Don't normally cause a problem. And see if because the bulbs are on, which is rare, the ECC does light up. That's what they all do.
From a neutral point of view, I'm flicking. Is doing. Door as well with them found Fernandez and.
To do it on VHF, does it? Anything? Okay, not to worry, that's something which we'll look into. That's long wave. I don't know what station is actually. Might be what is the
and he cried and he said to Paul, waiting a long time for you, Pat.
Toll control works okay. Doesn't want to do very much for us. On VHF, does it? Okay, so we know where we're starting from with that now. So now we know what we're starting from. We now get the set out of the cabinet and have a look from there. These sets, by the way, I think it's an EL84. Yeah, EL84. EAB6 on the back here. You see, this is a magnet type 2735W, and all these fit case wise is the right-handed speaker grill over there. The rest of the cabinet's in good condition. Look at the Loewe Opta, and these do work extremely well. Now, because it's got a mains transformer, this wire is okay because it won't actually go to us. I might change it, I might not. I don't know yet on that one, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I probably won't actually. But there you go. Another thing with these sets that's handy to know. Put it on its end. Like so, you see, is that you don't need to take the set out of the cabinet to work on the parts underneath. Okay, maybe I will, I don't know, it depends what I come up with here. But with these sets, there's extra panel here, and taking this panel off reveals the underside of the chassis, so you don't actually need to take the chassis out of the cabinet. So I might not, I don't know yet on that one. Probably will, but I'll just take this off just to show you that if you did capacity changing, you know, you don't have to take the whole lot off, which is a nice touch which the European sets had. You know, also one thing which they also have, which I wasn't quite as happy with at the time, or no, is that that a lot of the British sets, why they can't have plugs and sockets on certain things, so that chassis does come out. I don't really know, but that's the way it is with these. So I look under here now. It will tell me what capacitors are in it, because some of them are okay and some of them, like any set of these things, most definitely aren't. There we go. Okay, fine. Well, something else I have to deal with at some point. So inside here now, you see, it's fairly standard. Basically, a radio is a radio is a radio is a radio, and there are things which, you know, really we don't have to worry about as much as people say they do. Capacitors in these look to be the type that don't fail, and so I'll go around with the meter and check. Now, with it being one of these that with it being one of these sets where the valves heaters are in parallel, you take a valve out and you can simply take the meter in the hole where it came from and see what you find. That's something else which is common to these. With it being in the EL84 8+2, which obviously this one seems to be okay, there's one capacitor which of course we must check on every set of this era without fail. I think we all know which one that is, don't we? That goes in there. That's the aerial for the VHF, so maybe that'll work now, because these sets do actually tend to need that. What I'll do actually, I'll put it back on now, and we'll see what what it does again on the various bands. Yes, I know that a lot of people out there will say change oil capacitors. I'm aware of it. Ah. It's quiet, but it's there.
Perception and being cool. Exactly, and that's the thing. As long as it's good and as long as it has integrity.
Well, this one looks as though it's going to be fairly easy to sort out because it's working already. When I say working already, that does not mean that this set is done. It does not mean that at all. Cleaning, of course, is something I'll leave till afterwards. But despite it, we know that most of it is okay. So basically, it's a clean and a check and first of all, and run it for a bit. So this rather abused set from years ago might actually turn out to be a good one. And if it is, well, if I can't keep it, I'm serious. Somebody else who will, because these affect a hell of a lot online. A hell of a lot, in fact. Yeah. So I think I might well start by giving the left chain switch something of a clean. Bit low that. So give the left chain switch a bit of a clean and a work over. That's the first thing. And watching, by the way, yes, it's a Nazi set, but these, like I said, they are over-engineered, but they were over-engineered, and that does, in many cases, work in our favour. In some of these sets, actually, I don't think it's the case with this one, but in some of these sets, they actually have two pointers, one for AM, one for FM. I don't think this one. No, I'm sure this one doesn't actually. So that's one thing rather less to worry about. So just let me get the details up for the EL84. The EL84. 84. Right, and see which pin the pin 2. So pin 2 up here is the grid. And that goes to the next level along, of course, the EABC80. This is a fairly standard lineup, this, so there's not a lot I will have to tell you apart from that. This one, like I said, looks to be rather helpful. Some sets, by the way, want to work them, some sets quite frankly don't, and if they don't, well, they don't. So when we go, lift that out and switch it on again. and with it being a set with a metal rectifier, the 80 will be up straight away, and the other valves should also come up very quick. And so now we simply look at pin 2 and see what's on it. If there's anything on it at all, then we have to change the sterling capacitor, as we know, the grid the grid capacitor. This one must be changed or checked in every set you do. Every set you do. Take that off a minute because I can't see with them all without them these days. Okay, put them back on then. By the way, if you want to check a valve based from the top and you can't get in properly, get a piece of wire, wrap it around your meter probe, and that will then fit in the hole, as it were, and you can do it that way, which is what I'm doing now. It's another tip that does get you out of a mess. So, power off, okay. Pin 2, which is that one there. One, not 2, right. So that goes onto there. If there's anything on here at all, then we need to immediately, first thing I do is check that that is ground. I think I could find something better than that. How about there? Sometimes getting the ground is one of those things which you have to do first regardless, so again it's something which right, okay. How about I don't know. How about there? Point two. Point 2. Well, it's not. Yeah. Obviously, this is using the capacitor which rarely fails, so it might be alright here. But that looks to be something approaching alright to me. So that goes out. This goes in, and we'll wait for it to warm up. A bit loose that actually. And when that warms up, we should get something to the speaker. We do.
I'm going to get a car. And I said, what time? And he said, well, you know, can't be too picky. And I said, oh yes you can. You need Cinch. And he said, what's Cinch? Cinch lets you buy a quality check used car online. No haggling, with delivery included and a 14-day money-back guarantee. And he said, sounds like I'm in the driving seat now. And I said, all right, that's my line, cheeky. You're in the job.
Okay, well, that case, this set looks as though it's going to be a good one to restore. So, let's get on with it, shall we? This one might be a very quick one. Sometimes it happens that way, sometimes it doesn't, but just because it looks at this point like it's a good set to restore, doesn't mean it will be, because of course things happen when you're working on radios, things that you don't actually expect until they occur. Shango CR66 did the Grundig a while ago, and he had all sorts of problems with it, so hopefully we'll not have that here. Now, whenever you're looking for a sort of crackle in a radio, always go for the simple stuff first. At the moment I've got it on the record player input, so somewhere it should, but obviously not. I'm not too fussed with that. But
let's get in a few. Martinelli's been bang on form, but then Aubameyang's your highest paid player, or he's there with Özil now, so it's like,
that one's okay.
What do you do? I think Arteta's going to welcome it today.
Aubameyang's he's a starter. He's a starter.
Okay, so if then who do you leave out? So you're right, you're absolutely right, Craig. Martinelli's comeback games against Man City, even though they got beat 4-1, and they fell apart towards the end, he was the shining light.
That tells us now that the next thing we need to do is take the valves out and give the sockets a little bit of a squirt spray with the magic fluid on the sockets themselves. Put them back in. Whichever way they go. And that's okay. But one thing with these, by the way, that does sometimes cause a problem is that the markings come off the valves. If you know what you're doing valve-wise, you know more or less what is what here. But if you don't, you know, if you can get a valve diagram and a circuit diagram, you should be able to work out where they go. Again, most radios of this kind, i.e. valve radios, whether they're U or A, U or P in one case, or A or E base valves on B9A, B8A, or even lots of valves. You know, it's the same. It's the same with them all. You just look and you'll find out where where they go, and put them back in that way. The one with the three pillars inside, that's the EABC80. only used in VHF sets. And I wonder why that won't go back in there. Normally they go straight in, but that one, for some reason, it's not doing. So again, that can go there. Just so I know where I'm looking. There we go. That can go there where I'm looking, and hopefully now we'll be able to see where it goes and put it back in its slot. There we are. That one's okay. This one back here is equally causing problems, so same again. Little squirt spray on the valve, turn it over, little squirt spray, and in they go, and see if that cures it. If not, then you've got to look at valve pins and things like that. In the worst scenario, you get into changing sockets, but hopefully not in this case. Hopefully not in this case. Right, I've had the valves out, I've cleaned the bases and put them all back in, and let's see if that makes it rather better. It should do, because it's a very common problem with these sets. So when
it's crucial because it's the opportunity for the world to come together and ratchet up promises for reducing carbon emissions, to raise ambition. It follows on from Paris in 2015, the first time the world agreed, every nation of the world agreed that
one now.
So there you are.
You know, get them to really commit to deep.
So there we are. This is a set which really needs the clean up and check and test, and it's ready to go. So sometimes with the German sets are like that. They just work out of the box, even after, in this case, 60 years. This one, I don't think it needs anything doing to it, quite frankly. The medium wave and long wave sections of this are very, very sensitive, and even on its own internal aerial, it picks up for 1 to quite distant stations on FM. So this set, this is going to be a rather boring video, I'm afraid, because this set is going to be run for a bit and then checked again and then cleaned up. So yeah. So now, of course, we've got to look at getting it a bit cleaner and testing it. So I don't know what else to say, really. I don't. Shall we chat about holidays? No, maybe not. But obviously, with these sets, Telefunken valves, by the way, are very good. German stuff always was. They might have lost the Second World War, but in technology afterwards, they really had it going right. And these sets, they worked and worked and worked. The only thing with these sets that is a problem with all these sets is the magic eye on the front. Because on a lot of these sets, it is dead with use, and we cannot get them. I believe there are Russian equivalents, but at the moment I don't know if I can get one in time or not. But there are things you can do, so I will try and up the voltages to it and see if that helps it any, but it might not. Well, I've had a look at the computer and got the circuit for this radio out, and had a look through it, and I've decided I've got a magic eye on order, but I've got several of these German sets to look at, so the best one gets the magic eye, the rest of them will do that. It's no problem, of course, because all they do is generate a green display which varies with the strength of the signal received. This set, I want to be rental to it, which works extremely well, as you can hear.
throw me into an existential crisis that it takes about 3 days to...
See, that's that pretty much okay, that. But so what I'll do, I'll leave it for a bit and see if anything does come apart. Then it'll be a simple case of a good clean, and I might well use this one in the house, I don't know yet. But I've got so many, you know, but can't have too much radios, no can you? Actually, but the way you can this is an EM80. It connects across the capacitor here, and basically it's got a volts to it, but it's doing virtually nothing. Now, you can, as I said previously, you can actually get some more life out of them if they're dying, but when they're dead, they're dead. You can run them heater of another power supply to make it a bit warmer, but this set, these German sets are built to run on 220 volts, which is what this one is set to. Here the mains is 239 volts, so the valves are probably a little bit high on the heater anyway, about 6.7, 6.8, probably. That's a guess. I'll check that in a minute for you. But one thing which always comes to my knowledge is people have their own views, and they vary about capacitors. Here in front of me now we have a piece of paper with diagram representation of capacitors on it. That's an ordinary capacitor, the 0.1 microfarad, that sort of thing. Electrolytics, of course, only go one way and can be shown in two ways. The old way is that way, the new way is that way. But again, that's things like electrolytics, of course, things like this. There we go. That's it. That's electric, and of course the canned like you see in our radios. Now, these two are both variable capacitors. The tuner in many of these sets, all these sets, is a variable capacitor, and the two kind, the kind which is set trimmers, that's this type here with a line through it to like let's say T like that. That's one to be set and left inside the unit. That one, of course, with the arrow on the side, that's like the one that customers use to tune the setting up, or whatever. Seeing as in a signal generator, it's one that's used to tune it. But that's a tuning cap. Basically, they are the various types of capacitors. Now, all capacitors do the same thing. Basically, the two sheets of something linked together, metal or whatever, with something in between them. Something in between them is called dielectric. It can be air, it can be a vacuum, polyprop, whatever it is in between there. Some of them, of course, are dry. Some of them are wet, like electrolytics inside. Whatever, it's the same thing, and they all do the same sort of thing, whether it's a 0.01 or not or less, or up to 1 or 2 microfarads, which are used for storing up charge for in modern sets. They all do the same sort of thing, either tuning or smoothing or reservoir or whatever. They all do the same sort of thing. Now, with regard to changing them, well, I take the view that if something is not going to cause a problem, then why change it? I mean, why? I mean, this set has been okay now for many years, and there's certain capacitors which you always check. As regards to caps, anything wax capacitors, anything with Hunts written on, or CCC, or Callens, the black ones that are using BRC stuff, anything like that, change them on site. Also, anything which you're not sure of, check it. Always check. If it's okay, you might as well leave it. There's no problem. The issue of capacitor changing, which Chas Miller had a name for, of course, back in the day. The only person that really generates money from that is capacitor manufacturers. You probably could come up with it in the first place anyway, but mostly, if stuff is okay, leave it. Just any TCC or hunts or paper caps, anything like that, change them. Anything you're not sure of as well, change. But you know, so certain ones are okay. The small tubular ones, the micas, they're generally okay. Anything with area, like a tuning cap, again, more than likely okay. You know, pulling prop ones, that's this type. Looks like that's there. They use okay. That's what we use now actually. But usually, if they're okay, then leave them. You know, there's no point changing things that don't need to be changed. You know, there's no point. You know, and I think with sets of this area can do more harm than good. So, but bear that in mind as well. So that's capacities for you. A basic guide. Some people change on the electricities. I don't. What goes wrong with them? Well, with the two plates and what's in between them, especially with paper or wet capacitors, the paper can go conductive, or thing can go leaky for that reason. And say your crossplate goes from the anode of the first amplifier stage to the grid of the pentode in this set, for example. All you need to do is to check it and make sure that audio gets through, but DC doesn't. Again, from in this case, the anode of the triode in the UABC80. C is a triode, by the way. There's 3 valves in this, in a way, to the control grid of the U and the EL84 in this case. These are all E-range valves, by the way. The control grid here must have the audio on it, but not any of the DC. That's very important. So that one must be changed. If you're not sure, change it in that case, because of course it's a capacitor is of course cheaper than a valve, and it's cheaper than an output transformer as well. That's something else. That's it for capacitors in a nutshell. Also, don't forget, particularly with the big ones, get a resistor and chuck it across the pins for a minute if you're not sure, because they do hold charge. They can give you a bit of a belt, I would say. A bit of a belt. Something else. That's it really. That's capacitors in a nutshell. All you need to know. Anyway, with this now, I think the thing to do is basically run it for a bit and then clean it up and then ready to go. Like I said, it seems to be perfectly happy in its current state, and so why change it? Also with this, by the way, because it's an AC only set, because most of the foreign sets of this kind were, this is fine. This is fine. With cables like this, one thing which you can do, if you pull the plug out, like that. If you hold the cable up and it stays solid, change it. If it's like that, it's okay, leave it. And of course, check the plug as well, which I should do, but in this case I haven't, so naughty me. But anyway, that's capacitors in a nutshell. All you need to know. All you need to know. And you can get boxes of capacitors from Amazon and eBay, which you can keep handy, you know, for changing components. That's another thing which people often do, and quite rightly so as well.
when you're an overseas pro and having to finish games off and win games and all that.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is the unit, the radio, nicely cleaned, and working on all bands. Working extremely well on all bands too.
Yeah. Go on then. Oh, I see. I should leave.
That's
super. Cheers.
Appreciate it.
That's
Glad you
Medium
do.
Wave, and along with, of course, there's all the Irish station and Radio 4, but they're just as good.
Hi there, I'm Steve Crossman. You're listening to the best of the guest list on 5 Live Sport.
So there you are. That's the set working. The only thing I want for it, if possible, on the sides of these 3D radios, the 2 extra speakers covered up by grills. There's one on this side here. I'll turn it around so you can see. One of those. Hang on, I'll put the light on and see if that shows it up. Yeah, just about there. One of those. Yeah, I've not got one for the other side at all. But wasn't there, and also there's something missing from the front as well. But having said that, the rest of it all works extremely well. Even after all this time, you very little to get it going. The German sets are absolutely brilliant for that. They really,
My last Olympics
really,
was 2 years
really
ago,
are.
and so much happens in 2 years.
You know,
it does feel
so
like
they're,
quite a long
they're
time
very,
ago.
very
That's why I'm loving watching,
easy to work on.
like replays of 2012. On my mum wants you. Is this plenty of buffet?
The tone control on these, by the way,
Me and Malcolm were in your
treble,
way. We could always
bass,
pop
and
out for a meal for
various other
It's our anniversary after all. And I'm standing here in the most
settings as well here, you see.
Millen. Hair in
These
a
sets
French
really are,
Are you asking me to babysit?
these sets really are the best of the era. This isn't the biggest or the best German set, but German sets, West German sets in particular, were extremely good. I've heard some people call them Nazi sets. They're not, because they're made well after Nazis had gone and West Germany were back on their feet, and they went down very well with this, shall we say. But actually, if it hadn't been for the Second World War, we wouldn't have had FM, because what happened was that at the time, Germany as a country didn't theoretically exist. All that fighting meant that the Germany had no right when they sat around the table afterwards, and they were given very few radio frequencies, and so they went to and looked at the technology of FM, and without German technology after the war, of course, wouldn't have been FM. So, you know, even though Germany did lots of horrible things, they gave us a really good radio system as a result to go along with our AM. So, funny how things turn out, isn't it? But anyway, this one works extremely well. It's a Loewe Opta magnet. Model number, by the way, is 2735W. There's the back, which has to go on, but it has everything. This fits. Even the screws are on the back, you see, so you know it just slips into place very, very easily. And then, of course, this set can go back into use somewhere. Like I said, I might use it myself. But anyway, it's a magnet, a Loewe Opta magnet from the late 1950s, and these sets really were hi-fi of the day. They really were, and they used all over the world. These, even went to America. They did a lot of the German sets, and they did well there as well. They did very well. So until next time, from Steve's Longstay Workshop, keep warm and safe in this rather interesting weather and interesting times. Take care of yourselves, and remember, keep fixing radios, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Milligan's influence is big. The Pythons of advice, without him, they would have had no circus. In the book, The Goons, the Story, referring to Peter Sellers, we are told, to Spike's amazement, Sellers once described himself as just a vase of flowers, and Milligan arranged me.